Alright, so we're here working on the Ford again. Working on an electronic fuel system. So we pulled out the intake right there, part of the fuel bowl. The rest of the fuel bowl is right here. Not quite sure where this thing was leaking. I had fuel, actually, you probably see the huge puddle right there. That's diesel fuel. Part of that came from the fuel filter itself when I took it apart, but the rest of it was leaking from somewhere down in here. So what I'm going to do is get the mechanical fuel pump out. You're looking at right there, the blue hoses coming out. Vacuum out this engine valley. Start getting things cleaned up for my electronic system, which I have the parts over here. Alright, so here's what we got. New fuel filter on a fuel filter housing, electronic fuel pump off of Super Duty, universal regulator, fuel rail, and a bunch of fittings. So we'll see how this goes. What the heck is wrong with this camera? So, yep. Alright, so I'm going to run over my fuel system here. I already shot this footage once, but the camera kept zooming in and out and trying to refocus, and yeah, it looked crappy. So I utilized the stock fuel delivery. So this is the return line from the factory. Hard to see right there. And the supply line is there. So I kept all those. So the lines from the tank up to the engine block are the same. The supply line, which is down there, loops around, comes around here, comes right in my fuel pump here, through the fuel pump, goes up through the fuel filter, back around. Now, this thing here, right there in the center, is my fuel rail. The fuel supply comes into the bottom of it, very bottom. Right above it are there's two supply lines right here. Probably not gonna be able to see. Two lines here and one right below it. Those are the fuel lines at the front of the head. The fuel flows through the front of the head and then back around, and runs through the head and then returns into the fuel rail right up here. Then the return line comes straight off the top. Now, the reason for this is if you got air bubbles in your system, air is lighter than water, so it'll float, right? So air bubbles are going to want to go straight up. So they go straight up, around to the regulator, and then that regulator feeds right back into the factory return line. So the reason for that is to get all your air out of your system. System works actually pretty good. I drove it and it's pretty responsive, but it's kind of funny. The first day I did this, I got everything hooked together, got everything working, and my fuel filter wouldn't seal. Brand new fuel filter just would not seal on that fuel filter housing no matter what I did. I tried, nothing. Could not get it to seal at all. It was just running out of there, getting fuel everywhere. So I had to take care of that. Had to take care of a few leaks on the fuel rail itself. Had to pipe dope a bunch of the fittings to make sure they sealed right. Other than that, it doesn't seem to be leaking at all. I mean, there's not even anything. There's a little puddle like this in the driveway, or well, what I can tell was a puddle at one point where it was dripping. But I think that is just because of the residual, because when I first pulled it into the shop, man, it dumped quite a bit. Well, there was a huge, underneath all this down in here in the valley, there was a huge puddle of diesel. So I'm assuming that's just kind of running out and evaporating, and that's what I'm getting. So over the next few days I'll monitor it and see how it goes, and continues to work good, I'll keep driving it. So alright, we got the fuel system pretty much done. Fuel filter, fuel pump relay. I still gotta zip tie this stuff up. It's just kind of rough in there right now. Trim a few zip ties back over here, but it's in there. That's your fuel rail. Seems to be running good. The pressure's staying good, about 45 psi. Here's what I got on the inside. So it's not finished put up, but I got a switch here, and it's a 3-position switch. So middle switch is off. That switch is going to be 12 volt constant power, so like if you're trying to diagnose a leak or something. And then this way, so middle's off, to the which was this is going to be up. So up is 12 volt switched, down is 12 volt constant. So it'll trip the relay and supply fuel depending on what you need or what you want. Still got to trim some zip ties, like I said. But seems to be running a lot better. Lot more consistent fuel pressure. It's not tanking every time you hit the gas, so that's good. Hovers right between 45 and 50. So it's just about, that is perfect for a 7.3 right there. So thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Really helps. So all right, see you in the next video. Alright, so I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a clip of it driving, kind of an afterthought of just how my fuel pressure isn't bouncing around now. It basically stays pretty much right there. I think I still might have a slight leak, nothing major, just kind of dripping out of the fuel rail. I'm gonna drive it a little bit, see if it's just residual, because there was a lot of diesel fuel that ended up on the ground, probably a whole gallon. So as you can see, it moves a little bit, just not a whole lot. That's about all the moving it does, about 3 psi instead of 30. I've seen it go from 60 to 30 when you hammer on it. Just a poor design. So we'll see how it works, and I mean, it definitely made it a little more responsive, like especially when you hit the brakes and then get back on it. It no longer almost like stalls out and doesn't want to go. So stay tuned for more updates depending on how it goes. I do have the chip is going to be here for this probably the end of this week. Be putting that in here. A couple other little things that are going to get done, and then this truck will be all good to go. So I noticed one more benefit while driving: lower EGTs. Same speed, same grade, same road, pretty much same temperature outside and everything. My EGTs have lowered, probably 100 degrees or so. At 55, they used to be about 700. They're now running about 6. Just means that the fuel's combusting properly, because it's got the proper pressure feeding the injectors. It's amazing what you can do when you optimize the performance of almost every system. Because lower EGT should also mean improved fuel economy, because you're using the same amount of fuel to do more work, or less fuel to do the same amount of work, same thing. Instead of it needing that extra little bit of fuel, that's getting the efficiency's getting lost in heat, it's now turning more of that fuel into usable energy. So it should in turn get better gas mileage. So we'll see if it, got to make sure there's no more leaks. Got to drive it a little more, park it, let it sit overnight and see if you get a puddle of diesel under it. That's going to be the real test, is how well does, how well did I seal up the system. I think I got one leak right now, so I won't know until tomorrow, really, because I'll just have to look for the puddle tonight. So, but thanks for watching, and catch you in another video.